Okay, so let us start with design considerations. There are basic design considerations for designing a gearbox. So very first design consideration is power to be transmitted. Very important consideration. Depending upon the power to be transmitted, further all calculations will vary. The power calculation for 10 kilowatt, the power for 50 kilowatt, 100 kilowatt and 1000 kilowatt. So as the power calculation size will vary, the power will vary. Definitely it will have the significant effect. The power will vary, the torque required to be transmitted, and accordingly the load will vary, and accordingly dimensions of all module, face width, piece circle diameter, addendum circle diameter, dedendum, all the gear sizes will vary. So very important consideration is power to be transmitted. Then next, speed of the driving gear and speed of the driven gear, all I will call it as velocity ratio. So speed of driving gear at the input speed, what is the speed required? For example, let us assume that 1440, our standard any electric motor speed is there, and I want to reduce it at 360 rpm. So the ratio will be, in this case, 4:1, and single stage per gearbox can be selected. Up to 6:1 we can go for per gearbox single stage. If the ratio is, for example, assume that 1500 rpm at input and 10 rpm at output. So 1500 divided by 10, 150. This gear ratio in one stage it is not possible. So I have to go for first 1500 divided by 6, 250. Then I will go for 250 divided by 6. Whatever answer I will get, assume that approximately 41.66, I will say 42. And 42 to 10 means, in this case I have to go for, why the speed consideration is important. So in this case, see here, if I will say that I have to transfer a power from 1500 rpm and desired is 10, then I will go for first 6. Then I will transfer it to 250 rpm. I will call it at stage number 1. In one stage, I will go for 250 rpm. Then further 250 to, it will go for 250 divided by 6. So I have 41.66. I will assume time being it is 42. We will go for. So this is second stage, and then 42 to whatever your RPM it is had at 10, you can go for. C means here stage number 1. This is our first stage of reduction. Then this is our second stage of reduction, and this is our third stage of reduction. So if you go for this, there are 3 stages. So why this is speed of driving gear and speed of pinion is important. So this consideration is required. Depending upon the speed, how many stages are required, it will be decided. So for this case, we have to go for a 3-stage gearbox. So like this, and if any other standard case, for example, same example, you take 1500 rpm at one stage, and other stage you require 300 rpm. Not to go for any further case, it is possible. The ratio is 5, 1500 divided by 300, you will get the answer 5, and no problem, you can easily go for it. So this is the next stage. So here only one stage is sufficient, no problem at all. So next is center distance. So center distance, depending upon how compact we want, what is the space available in which we will accommodate our gearbox, it is decided by the center distance. Center distance is calculated by the size of gear. Center distance is nothing but the distance between two shafts, that is pinion. So piece circle diameter, PCD of pinion plus PCD of gear, it will define the center distance. So this is again one of the most important parameters. So these are the first very basic things. Apart from these things, in which application the gearbox is required to be used, then depending upon that, material selection will be there. The other factors also will be defined depending upon application. So these are very first important things which are required for starting the design procedure for a gearbox. Okay, so this is design consideration. Now next point, gear tooth failures. Very important point. In the gear failure analysis, it is applicable for all types of gear. So spur gear, helical gear, worm gear, then bevel gear, all types of gears, the failure and modes are common. So there are two different modes of failure. First mode is breakage of the tooth and second is surface destruction. So breakage of the tooth, it is the premature breakage of the tooth. If a gearbox is designed that it will at least give the life of 10 years, but the tooth will break and failure of the gearbox will occur within 1 year, 2 years, something like that. So it is a completely breakage of the tooth. It is the design aspect. So if whatever sizes are required, whatever power is there, the appropriate calculation of the power, then torque, further calculation of dynamic load acting on it, static load acting on it, calculation of P effective load acting on that particular gear. If you will calculate all these things and considering a proper factor of safety is considered, then you can say here that the premature breakage of the tooth can be avoided because you have taken all the considerations, you have applied the factor of safety, proper material is selected by considering all other factors. So it is having proper endurance strength, everything is there, then definitely the material will not fail. So if by designing all these things due to some vibration type, misalignment type, if it is fail, then it is a premature breakage of failure. Means without any external causes or without any surface destruction, if it fails, then it comes under breakage of tooth. But if analysis is made that how much percentage breakage of tooth will be there, then very less than 5% or less than 2-3%, it is premature breakage of the tooth because designer is taking care in all respects. So only unavoidable circumstances or something misalignment, vibration, or some blast, etc. If we remove these unavoidable circumstances, then the breakage of tooth will not happen if the design is proper. If the designer will take care in all respect that the gearbox will not fail due to design problem. Okay, now the second part is very important: surface destruction. So surface destruction, it is the failure of particular gear due to the deterioration of surface. So surface destruction, there are 5 main categories. There are many categories, but here we will be discussing or focusing on these 5 categories or 5 modes under the surface destruction. So very first, abrasive wear, then corrosive wear, initial pitting, destructive pitting, and scoring. So the surface gets deteriorated due to any one of these and the failure occurs. Surface destruction. So abrasive wear. So here you can see, I will highlight. These are the some of the marks. So see, I am highlighting in the diagram. So this is the abrasive wear. So what are the causes and remedies for this? So the tooth surface is scratched by foreign particles in the lubricant, such as foreign particles which are not desired in the gearbox, but they have entered in the gearbox, like these particles. So which are these particles? Dirt, rust, weld spatters, dust may be there, and metallic weld spatter or metallic debris. So here if you see, whatever the dirt particles will be there, whatever the rust particles will be there, weld spatters. So you might have heard the concept this weld spatter of or metallic debris is there. So metallic debris, while manufacturing a gearbox, there are many operations carried out like drilling, milling, etc. So if the burr is not properly removed and some of the burr part or metallic burr, I will call it as debris. Debris, you can take waste material. Dictionary translation meaning in Marathi you can call it as a kachra. So whatever is unwanted, not desired material like burr particles or weld spatter particles. Weld spatter, in metallurgy we have discussed the weld spatter. When the welding is performed on any of the part, then some of the material will spread out in the form of bubble or something round structure, and it will adhere to the surface in the small parts, and if it is not removed properly, then such particles are in the particular gear, or gearbox, these are weld spatters. So the metallic debris or burr type particles, the weld spatters, then the dirt, dust, rust, which should not be or which are not desired to be inside the gearbox, but they are inside the gearbox. If the two gears are matching together, and assume that the burr, one burr particle is in between the two teeth. The teeth is rotating, the our gear is rotating at 1000 RPM, and the burr particle is in between the two teeth. Definitely, it will leave an impression. This tooth surface gets scratched due to the burr particle which come in between the two matching teeth. And due to this, whatever the you see, you can see again I am highlighting whatever the small types of scratches you observe, you can call these scratches as the abrasive wear. Okay, this is the cause, or we have discussed the causes. You can call this as causes. Now, what is the remedy? How the abrasive wear can be overcome, or what care is required to be taken so that there will not be occurrence of abrasive wear in case of any gear. So this can be removed by using oil filters, using high viscosity lubricant, and surface hardness. One by one we will discuss now. So here, very first, using oil filters. If an oil filter is provided in the gearbox, then the oil is continuously coming out, then segregating or collecting in a sump, and again it is fed to the gearbox. It is continuously, means the same oil is continuously fed through the pump. So if the such particles are there, dust, dirt, rust, metallic debris, then they will come through the oil. And if oil filters are provided, then when the oil is again re-entering in the gearbox, then at that time, at that junction, we can filter the particles. And again the oil filter, if any particles are which are not present, but due to externally oil or any contamination it will go, then the oil filters will restrict, and no any such foreign particles the oil filter will allow to go in the gearbox. So this is the function of oil filter. Use of high viscosity lubricant. For example, you take the small, very small burr, a very small piece of burr is there, and if the oil is you can say a good thickness, then the burr particle, or you can say that we are using grease at that juncture. So the oil, the grease, whatever the small element of grease, it will be embedded in that particular oil or grease, and it will not scratch the surface. So using of high viscosity lubricant, this is the second part. It will eliminate this scratching of small element, small you can say burr or weld spatter dust like particles. And surface hardness, if at all there are such particles, if my surface hardness is assumed for example 40-45 RC, then if I will go for any, we can say case hardening treatment or selecting a proper material whose hardness is there, much good, then if such particle will come in contact with the gear, then also due to hardness of the gear material will not allow the weld spatter particle, metallic burr particle, dust or rust particle to scratch on the surface of the gear. If the hardness is more of a gear material, definitely this can be avoided. So this is related to abrasive wear. These are the causes: dust, rust, weld spatter, and metallic debris inclusion and scratching to a gear material. And the remedies for this case are using oil filter, using high viscosity lubricant, and using good material having the appropriate surface hardness. So these are the causes and remedies for abrasive wear. Let us move to next, corrosive wear. The name only indicates here the wear occurs due to corrosion. Is termed as corrosive wear. If you see here, complete, no need to highlight the complete surface. This is black and white. This is somewhat color image. You can see the completely. If you see, complete rusting is observed here. Here, if you see a mature rusting is there. So it is a, and if you see also here, this we can highlight complete one. This is a, you can call this as corrosive wear. So the corrosion of a tooth surface is caused by corrosive elements such as EP, extreme pressure additives present in the lubricating oils, and foreign materials due to external contamination. There are two parts. The causes can be divided into two parts. EP, extreme pressure additives present in the lubricating oil. For enhancing the properties of the lubricating oil, some extreme pressure additives are purposefully added in the lubricating oil. For example, the lubricating oil should withstand its properties at 450 degrees Celsius and at 105 kg per cm square pressure. So up to this high much pressure or higher pressure and higher temperature environment, the oil should not lose its properties. It should retain its properties. For achieving this condition, some extreme pressure additives, the extreme pressure additives, such additives are there which will help the oil, which will enhance the properties of the oil to retain at the desired condition. But on the other side, these extreme pressure additives are not good for our gear material. So if the gear material is simple cast iron type, or you can say any mild steel category, Indian standard, any grade you take. So 6202, for example, one grade. So like this, any grade if we take, then in this case, the extreme pressure additives for mild steel material, they will attack and corrosion starts. So depending upon the material, the extreme pressure additives are used. The extreme pressure, or we have to select the oil which will not make harm to our gear material. And the second, foreign materials due to external contamination. Contamination, for example, the gearbox is open to atmosphere. There is no any closure made. It is completely open. Then whatever the atmospheric contamination is there, definitely it will corrode. For example, a gearbox, we are using a gearbox in, again the same, we can say, fertilizer industry, chemical industry, at our general atmosphere, and nuclear industry. So you see, in general atmosphere, the same material, it will not corrode, open. We cannot use such open gearbox in case of nuclear. Definitely there are some dangerous effects. And again, you take the chemical fertilizer industry, so whatever atmosphere, whatever the chemical reactions, fumes in that particular atmosphere, due to that, definitely the contamination will occur and the material starts corroding. So care should be taken that the external contamination will not be there. So these are, I can say, this is the cause why corrosive wear is occurring. These elements attack the tooth surface, resulting in a fine uniform wear distributed over the entire surface. So whatever these elements are there, they will attack on the surface and the corrosion will start. How to control it? What are the remedies? So I can say, what are the remedies? The corrosive wear can be controlled by complete enclosure of the gears. Very first part. Selecting proper additives and replacing the lubricant at regular intervals of time. So three remedies are given. Complete enclosure of the gears. If the gear is covered by complete gearbox, they are not open to atmosphere. So there is no chance of the external contamination. Due to the shield provided, due to the gearbox, the gears are covered with the gearbox, upper casing, lower casing, and all the parts. Only oil inlet and oil outlet will be there, and the shaft, etc., it will be mounted. So there is no chance at all for the external contamination if it is complete enclosed. Number two, selecting proper additives. We have to select proper oil, then it will not have adverse effect on our element and on our gear element, on our gear material, and corrosive wear will not happen. Third one is replacing the lubricant at regular intervals of time. One lubricant, though it is very good quality, but if the life of the lubricant, at regular intervals, it can retain its properties up to 3 months if we are using 24/7. If we are not replacing oil, just I am giving example, if we are not replacing such oil for 6 months, 9 months, and the same oil we are using for 1 year, definitely it will start corroding, because whatever the properties and whatever the life of the oil, already it is finished, and still we are continuing to use the same oil for years and years or months and months. So replacing the lubricant, replacing the oil at regular intervals of time, this will also have the good effect. Surface destruction. Number three, initial fitting. See, pitting, generation of small pits. See here, generation of small pits. So you can say in Marathi, I will call it as chote chote khadde. So small pits are generated over the gear, and let us discuss what are the causes. So if you see initial pitting, you can see here in a particular zone, I am highlighting. See on the gear for every gear, at the same place. So this is the case of initial pitting. Pitting. It is a type of fatigue failure caused by the repeated application of trace cycles. Very first pitting is the failure which is occurred due to fatigue and repeated repetition of trace cycle or repeated application of trace cycles. Pitting, there are two types: initial pitting and destructive pitting. So let us discuss on initial pitting. Destructive pitting will be our fourth type of failure. So initial pitting, it is also called as corrective pitting. It is localized phenomena characterized by small pits at high spots. So small pits are started or it will start to generate on the gear surface. Such spots are progressively worn out and the load is redistributed. Progressively worn out. The generation of the spot, again after some time, the spots will get worn out and the load is redistributed. Initial pitting is caused by the error in the tooth profile, surface irregularities and misalignment. Error in the tooth profile. Whatever tooth profile is desired, it can be generated by using any cutting operation or generation operation. So if we say generation operation gear hobbing, then the teeth are generated. Again, if I desire or if we desire some more surface finish, we will go for gear grinding, super finishing operation. Again, after gear grinding also, whatever the tooth profile is desired, one cannot give guarantee that it is 100% matching. That's why the concept of tolerance is there. 100% matching. So again, there will be some mismatch between the desired profile and the actual profile. And every time, for every gear, it is not affordable, it is not feasible to go for gear super finishing process. So if we will go for only generation process, definitely there will be error in the tooth profile. This is, and whatever error in the tooth profile, when the gear's pinion will match, it will match with the gear, then whatever surface irregularity generated on the pinion, it will come in contact with the gear, and due to this they are transferring the load, coming in contact at some speed and at some load, the pitting occurs. And misalignment, everything is fine, but there is some misalignment. This misalignment will generate somewhat vibration, noise, and it will further lead to initial pitting. So these are the causes of initial pitting. How to control the initial pitting? What are the remedies which can be done so that there will be no initial pitting? It is controlled by precise machining of gears. So here errors in tooth profile and surface irregularities. So both these can be recovered here. Precise machining, whatever machining is desired, if the gear is manufactured as per the requirement, there are very less chances that pitting will occur. Correct alignment is also required. Whatever the alignment is there, center to center distance, whatever the backlash is desired, exact alignment, correct alignment of the gear so that it will rotate at the desired speed with the desired function. For example, it is desired to rotate at 1000 rpm. Then it will rotate 1000 rpm very smoothly, no noise, no vibration, nothing will be there. And the load will uniformly distributed across the full face width. Dynamic load will be reduced and there is less chances of pitting. Now still one question is there. Why the name is given as corrective pitting? See, if I will highlight here, initial pitting is also called as corrective pitting. So if the initial pitting is identified in time, then if it is identified that the errors in tooth profile or surface irregularity is there, the gears are dismantled, again some super finishing operation is done, and again they are mounted, assembled, and again the gearbox is started working. Then if we take action well in advance, if we will come to know that initial pitting is started, and if we will take action by precise machining of the gears and correct alignment, then whatever initial pitting was there, it will remain as it is, it will not progress, and further means next generation or next initial pitting can be stopped by machining. So this is the corrective pitting. If anyone will take action on initial pitting by taking proper measures, super finishing and maintaining the alignment, then the pitting, whatever happen, can be stopped at that junction only. And due to this, it is called as corrective pitting. If action is taken, there is a scope to correct it. So this is about the initial pitting or corrective pitting. Let us move to next part. This is very important pit in gear terminology. Surface destruction we are discussing. Destructive pitting. So here initial pitting and destructive pitting both are pitting. There are some pits developed, but the word initial, the pits are very smaller at some initial stage, and if action is taken in well in advance, then we can stop initial pitting there itself and we can save the gearbox and it will continue for operation. But destructive pitting, I will just highlight, see here, these are the pits. See here, breakage of tooth due to this. Whatever I am highlighting here, it is breakage of tooth. So destructive pitting, you can see here, you can see the breakage. Again here, pitting. So whatever all these are there, this is destructive pitting. More advanced version of pitting, we cannot control it, though we diagnose that there is a destructive pitting. What are the causes and remedies for destructive pitting? Destructive pitting is a surface fatigue failure which occurs when the load on the gear tooth exceeds the surface endurance strength of the gear material. Very simple. This is a fatigue failure occurs when the load on the gear tooth, whatever load is acting on the gear tooth, it is exceeding the surface endurance strength. Surface endurance strength, it is the property of the material. It is a property of the material. So surface endurance strength should be higher in order to avoid the destructive pitting. This type of failure is characterized by pits which continue to grow, resulting in complete destruction of the tooth surface, and in some cases even break tooth permanently. So I have shown you the breakage of the tooth in last slide. This type of failure can be avoided by ensuring the wear strength of the entire gear. Wear strength, this concept we have not discussed. We will discuss in the next bit. Wear strength is the strength. It is the maximum tangential load that can be transferred by the gear tooth without pitting failure. So there will not be a pitting. Whatever the maximum load it will transfer, we will call it as wear strength of the gear tooth. So ensuring the wear strength is more than the sum of static and dynamic load. Whatever the static and dynamic loads acting on the gear, our wear strength should be always greater than the static and dynamic load. By what amount? Here is the concept of factor of safety. I am taking the complete design procedure also here. So if this care is taken, then this failure can be avoided. Then next, the surface endurance strength is a function of hardness and can be increased by improving surface hardness of the gear tooth by appropriate heat treatment process. Though surface endurance strength, one point is here, we can say that first point is wear strength, but second point, if wear strength already considered, then increase the surface hardness. If surface hardness is increased, then surface endurance strength will automatically increase and there are less chances of destructive pitting. How to increase the surface hardness? The selecting a surface which will have the higher endurance strength, or go for heat treatment process like case hardening. Case hardening, it will enhance, increase the strength at the particular outer surface where case hardening is carried out. So this is about destructive pitting. And the last type of surface destruction is scoring. So here also you can see, just I will highlight some ditch or spot is shown. Then here you can go for observing this particular area in the bottom side also. Next it this particular area. So if you see these areas, let us see what is scoring. The oil film between the gear teeth may break down under excessive surface pressure, high sliding velocity, and inadequate supply of lubricant. The oil film between the gear teeth may break down. The oil film will not retain its properties due to higher pressure. For example, pressure is very higher in the gearbox, rotating at very high sliding velocity. Assume that the gearbox is rotating at 10,000 rpm, very high sliding velocity, and inadequate supply of lubricant will be there. And due to the high pressure, the oil film will fail, and when there is no oil film or failed oil film, it will give generation of excessive frictional heat. More friction will be there, more heating will be there, overheating, and due to this overheating, there will be metal to metal contact occur because the complete failure of the film. There will no oil between the two teeth. No oil between the two teeth. And imagine that the gear is rotating at 10,000 rpm and no lubrication at 10,000 rpm. Definitely it will raise to frictional. Friction will give heat. Overheating will be there, and it gives rise to scoring. So what is scoring? Scoring is a stick slip phenomenon in which alternate welding and shearing takes place rapidly at high spot. This increases the wear rate faster. Let us discuss stick slip phenomenon. What is stick slip phenomenon? Alternate welding and shearing. The material, due to higher temperature and friction, the material at higher spot, wherever there are higher spot on the material or on gear or pinion, the material from that particular part will get removed, shearing, and at it is higher temperature and 1000 rpm, the material will not come out, it will adhere to the gear part. For example, the material removed from pinion part and it will adhere to gear part. So, and this is called as the stick slip phenomenon. From one, the material is removed, and from other, the material is stick. So, this is stick slip phenomenon. And what it will lead to? Refer this. Here it is shown. Once again, I am highlighting. So, here the material removed, and on the other side, which is not visible here, on this side, the material is stick. So, this is stick slip phenomena. Wear rate is increases. How to control the scoring? We have to take care that oil film will not fail at all when the gear is operating at higher temperature, higher pressure, and higher RPM. The scoring can be controlled by selecting proper surface speed, RPM, surface pressure, and flow rate of lubricant to keep the temperature of contacting surfaces within permissible limits. The temperature will not increase. If the oil is having capacity, that oil can retain its properties up to 135 degrees Celsius only, any one oil we are using. Then if the temperature in that particular gearbox will exceeds 135 degree, definitely the oil film will fail. It will not retain its properties and metal to metal contact occur. And imagine metal to metal contact at higher speed. Again, I have explained, it will lead to frictional heat, overheating, and stick slip phenomena, means alternate welding and shearing takes place. The bulk temperature of lubricant can be reduced by providing fins. So this is again possible, providing fins at gearbox, air cooling fan, or circulating cold water. So whatever possible, providing fins will, we can say, air circulation will be there, and it will help to reduce the heat of the gearbox, air cooling fan, and circulating cold water to reduce the temperature of oil. So anything can this possible if the oil is circulating continuously. Then when the oil will gather in the sump, then whatever outside part wherever the oil is gathering, at that particular also we can go for any cold water arrangement so that continuous temperature of the oil can be maintained. And if the oil temperature can be maintained, then definitely it is possible to avoid scoring. These are the gear tooth failure modes. So once again, I will repeat. We have started this gear tooth failure modes from abrasive wear, then corrosive wear, then next one is initial pitting, then destructive pitting, and last is scoring. So these are the very important bits aspects as far as the gear failure analysis is concerned. Next bit, let us move to gear materials. Before going for gear materials, let us understand what should be the desirable properties for design of a gearbox. So then we can go for the different materials according to the desirable properties. So here, very first is the load carrying capacity, ultimate tensile strength or yield strength, fluctuating loads, endurance strength. So very first, ultimate tensile strength or yield strength. Depending upon the load carrying capacity, I have to transmit a power at for example, 1500 kilowatt at 1000 RPM. Second example, I have to transfer a 10 kilowatt power at same RPM. RPM I have not changed, but the 1500 kilowatt and 10 kilowatt. A huge difference is there. Here the property which will play very important part is ultimate tensile strength or yield strength of the material, depending upon the category which material we are using. Second one is fluctuating load, endurance strength. When the gear is continuously operating at fluctuating load, there are some fluctuations, maybe from the source or maybe from any other means. Then in such case, endurance strength of the materials is also required to be considered. Whenever there is a repetitive cyclic stress will be applied on the gear, at that juncture, endurance strength is important. So desirable property, very first gear, it should have the sufficient or required desired load carrying capacity in order to withstand the static and dynamic loads acting on the gear. Second, the wear rating, then the strength rating decide the dimension. There are two types of strength, beam strength and wear strength. Beam strength and wear strength. So we have already discussed there are two basic modes of failure. Failure due to the less strength of the gear or not designed properly, and failure due to surface destruction. So more than 95% failure will be due to surface destruction, and surface destruction is nothing but wear rating. So wear rating or wear failure or wear strength, it is which it can be defined as wear strength can be defined as the maximum tangential load the gear can transmit without pitting failure. So there should not be any pitting, there should not be any wear. Wear strength rating decide the dimension. So generally, by considering wear strength, we will be calculating SW. We will be calculating SB, beam strength. But maximum cases, SW will be our defining factor for design of gears as compared to SB. So this is mentioned here. These are separate, there are separate formulas that we will be discussing later. So how wear rating? So there are again 2 points, alloying element, grain size, percentage of carbon and surface hardness. So these all comes under the wear. Alloying element, if you take example of carbon steel and you take example of carbon steel with the addition of chromium, nickel, cobalt. So if you add this chromium, nickel, definitely there will be corrosion resistance will enhance. Then the grain side, the grains are fine grain or coarser grain, then percentage of carbon, and then surface hardness. So these are the properties which one has to take in account for selecting a material according to the application. Then surface endurance strength to avoid failure due to destructive pitting. We have discussed that the destructive pitting will occur due to the surface endurance strength of the material. So it is very, very important aspect, surface endurance strength of the material. One has to consider the surface endurance strength in order to avoid the failure due to destructive pitting. Therefore, wear rating is important. This is mentioned. Then next consideration, for high power transmission, the sliding velocities are very high and the material should have low coefficient of friction to avoid schooling. See, for high power transmission, the sliding velocity, high power transmission, sliding velocity means it is rotating at very higher RPM and the material should have low coefficient of friction to avoid schooling. This is again one important aspect which we have to consider. Amount of thermal distortion or warping during heat treatment. Now thermal distortion, the expansion and contraction due to heat or due to increase in temperature or warping. Warping, you have heard the word warping in casting. So this is a there is one concept, warpage allowance. The allowance is provided for pattern, for safely removing the pattern when or it in casting. In casting, it is allowance is given, and while designing the pattern only, the warpage allowance is given. So let us say that if gear is operating at 1000 degrees Celsius or 500 degrees Celsius, then the thermal distortion factor is required to be considered. What is the amount of thermal distortion, or we can say thermal expansion, occur due to increase in temperature? If it is operating at room temperature 35 degree, 40 degree, 50 degree, no problem. But if it is operating at 500 degree, definitely there will be thermal distortion, and when it will cool down, again the distortion or whatever is disappear, and this we have to consider, otherwise failure of gear may occur. Alloy steels are superior to plain carbide steel. So here, whenever good alloying elements are added, definitely they are having good thermal distortion properties and can be utilized at higher temperature as compared to plain carbon steel materials. Then, depending upon the size, if the size is too much large, gray cast iron is preferred. The gray cast iron, there are grades FG200. FG stands for flake graphite. Flake graphite, FG200, FG260, FG350. This 200, 260 to 350 is the ultimate tensile strength in Newton per mm square. So 200 Newton per mm square. So these are the different gray cast iron gears. When the gear size is very much large, very much means, let us assume that you have to use a gear for any cement mill or cement kiln. These are the parts where cement is being manufactured from the raw material. So the diameter, idea of the vessel or idea of the cylindrical part on which you will be fitting this is approximately 6 meters, 5 meters. So assume that 5 meters diameter vessel is there. Can we go for the 5 meter, you can say, shaft or any forging and removing the inside 5 meter? Not possible. So this hollow part can be manufactured by using casting, such a big casting where ID is 5 meters, 6 meters, and whatever the part is required. For example, you say, assume this as a circle, and whatever this outer periphery is there. So in this outer periphery only gears will be manufactured. This is just for your understanding. Don't consider the exact shape. So here, whatever here it is empty part. So if this 5 meters is not required, so why to go for forging like thing? If I will complete this circle, OD we have to go for. Then in such cases, the inside 5 meter diameter, one can go for this large size gear, one can go for casting. They are cheap in cost as compared to steels and stainless steel, alloy steel, less noise generate as compared to steel gears. They are having good wear resistance, but their drawback is poor strength. The cast iron material is having poor strength as compared to plain carbon steel, stainless steel, and alloy steel. This is only drawback. All otherwise, the good points are there. Therefore, whenever large size gears are there, cast iron category is used. Next is case hardened steel. Case hardened. So it is the best combination of wear resisting hard surface together with ductile and shock absorbing core. So inside part, soft and tough core, and whatever outside, if you see, it is only you can see the, so this part, whatever this, we will call it as the case depth. You have studied in metallurgy the concept. So this is depth. So this is the one figure. So you will get the hardened surface layer or good hardness at outer side, and inside it will be soft and tough core. It will absorb the vibrations. So this is the actual photograph. You can see here whatever the white part is shown. This is nothing but your case depth, and this is case hardening. So you see I will highlight like this. This is the case hardened surface. So inside part soft and tough, and outside part case hardening. So depending upon such applications where it is required to absorb the shock and vibration, we cannot use the hard material. It will fail due to its brittle nature. So in such cases, one can go for case hardening, where the inside properties will be maintained for absorbing the shock, and outside properties which are required or desired as higher strength, so that no scratching will be there. So in such cases, case hardening treatment is used. Then plain carbon steels. So medium duty applications, plain carbon steels are used. There are some categories: 50C8, 45C8, 45C4. So these are the names or designations which are having some typical properties, carbon content, molybdenum content. Okay, so I will show you one time design data book in which these all configurations will be there. Then next is alloy steel. So alloy steel is used for heavy duty application, and it is a combination of chromium, nickel. So 40Cr1, 30Ni4Cr1. So it is a nickel and chromium combination. So they are having very good properties, can be used for heavy duty application. But the drawback of alloy steel is their cost. So one has to uh, very first ask this question, that whether alloy steel is desired, because they are having very good properties, but the cost and machining them to the required shape and size, so it is also manufacturing cost is more and material cost is also more. So depending upon the application only, alloy steels will be used. For planetary gear trains, alloy steel is used. Again here, nickel and chromium. Planetary gear, there are many gears used. One is sun gear. It is just like our orbit system, sun and other gear. So when one has to go for 1000 rpm to 5 rpm, see the reduction. 1000 rpm to 5 rpm, approximately 200 times reduction. So it is possible only through planetary gears. Then for worm wheels, worm and worm, so worm wheel is their part, bronze is preferred. It is costly. The bronze drawback, it is excessive costly, but it is having the low coefficient of friction. There is huge friction in case of worm and worm gear, so this property. Then excellent conformability, it will get confirm whatever, if there are any small changes in the shaft diameter, shaft deviation, if it is not exactly circular, 0.1 0.2 mm, there are some ovality, then the worm will adjust the shape. This we will be discussing in chapter number 6. Also suitable where corrosion resistance is required. Water pump application, it is having good corrosion resistance. So low coefficient of friction, excellent conformability, and corrosion resistance is required. In such cases it is used. Drawback is excessive cost. This is the last category of material. There are many categories, but as far as now we are discussing the generalized categories. Phenolic resins. So low modulus of elasticity, work on marginal lubrication, and they can tolerate errors in tooth profile. So phenolic resins, here comes all plastic type materials, phenolic type materials. So there is having low modulus of elasticity. Very marginal lubrication is required, and it is not required that it should have the good tooth profile. If there are some deviations in tooth profile, then also no problem. So depending upon the application, in many toys you can see there the gears are for this, and in many of the cases the pinion, one of the part is made up of phenolic resins, another part gear made up of other material. So this can be also acting as a material depending upon the application. A wide variety of gears is available in phenolic resins. So